Okay, hello booktube, Aaron here, thanks for dropping by. Today, since we're getting towards the end of the year, I thought I'd do the end of the year book tag created by Ariel Bissettes. So it's basically just running through a few things, kind of taking stock of how things are going so far, and then kind of looking forward into 2023 and looking into reading plans, things like that. So let's see how it goes. So the first prompt here is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? No, not really. So I haven't really put too much pressure on myself in that department. So really the only one that I've started in a way and I've kind of left unfinished is Borges' collected fictions. It was one of my projects sort of early this year to kind of go through his short stories. And then I kind of let it go, I think at some point in the spring, maybe as it was moving into sort of early summer, because it just sort of felt like I was sort of jumping between too many books at once. So I decided to put Borges to one side and just to pick him up every now and then, just to read a story when I was in the mood for it, so that I'm not necessarily actively making my way through this. But who knows, I might actually give him a bit more time in December, and maybe in January as well. But other than that, there's not really anything that I feel bad for leaving undone in 2022. Moving on to the second prompt, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not really. There's no particular single book that I use in that kind of way. I suppose Victober helps quite a lot. So reading Victorian classics, I read Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy, and there was also a read-along of Dracula by Bram Stoker. So I suppose both of those books in their own way helped kind of usher in that autumnal mood. But other than them, there was nothing kind of specific that I was using in that kind of way. Prompt number 3 is there a new release that you're still waiting for? No, not really. I don't really look out for new releases. I just, if I ever do buy a new release, I just happen to be in the new release section of the bookshop, and something strikes my fancy, and I'm kind of curious about something, I might pick it up. So I don't really keep too much of an eye out for new releases. Then next up is, what are 3 books you want to finish by the end of the year? I've gone a bit overboard. I've got more than 3 books here, so sorry about that. I'll start off with actually books that I'm reading at the moment, and since we're in November right now, unless something goes terribly wrong, I should have them finished by the end of the year. So for my non-fiction November pick, I'm reading Citizens, A Chronicle of the French Revolution by Simon Sharma, and it's about nearly 1,000 pages long, and I'm around the 300 page mark. So I think I'll do okay with that, and it's been interesting so far. We'll see how it goes. I also picked up the Captain's Daughter by Alexander Pushkin, my first Pushkin, and really enjoying it, and it reads really quickly, so again, I'm not really that scared that it will be left unfinished this year. And the same goes for this with Elizabeth Bishop's poems as well. I think I should have them finished very soon. I got a few books here then that I haven't started yet, but I'm planning to read and have finished by the end of the year. So I'm hoping to read Dubliners in December, and I'm hoping to read a story a day and sort of start on the right date, so that I'm reading the last story, The Dead, on Christmas Eve. It just seems like a very nice thing to do, and I've heard that other people do it. I might even do it as a read aloud. If I do decide to do that, then I'll make an announcement video, but I'm still umming and ahhing about that. And then also I'd quite like to read The Karamazov Brothers by Dostoevsky in December as well. I've never read anything by Dostoevsky. He's been sitting on my shelf for ages, but he seems to share an orbit with lots of other writers that I've enjoyed, so I think I'll get on with Dostoevsky, but I haven't given him a go yet, so we'll see how how that turns out. Something else I'd quite like to read before we see 2022 out would be something else by Albert Camus. The first thing I finished this year was The Outsider, or The Stranger, and was really impressed with it, so I picked this up from a bookshop, and it's not everything else that he wrote, but it's a fair sample of his other writings. So I'd like to read at least one more thing by Albert Camus. I haven't made up my mind. I might read one of the non-fiction pieces in there. But yeah, I just want to read something else by Camus before the end of the year. And then, yeah, I think that's sort of all of those sorts of things. There's something else I could talk about, but I think it'll be more appropriate in a later prompt. Then, moving on from there, is there a book you think could still shock you and become a favourite book of the year? I don't know. Who knows, maybe that Camus book that, I haven't decided on which one I'm going to read yet will be my favourite. Maybe it'll be The Brothers Karamazov, I don't know. We'll just see, I suppose. And then I think finally, have you already started making plans for 2023? And yes, I have. So one of my ongoing projects this year is making my way through Remembrance of Things Past by Marcel Proust, and I've finished the second volume now, and I've kind of made the decision to leave Proust maybe until the new year. I don't know, but we'll see how December goes. But December's quite a busy month, and I've already made a few other plans, so I might, since it's a nice place to put a bookmark in for a month or two, so I might not pick up the next volume of Proust until January, but I'll definitely be carrying on with Proust through next year and hopefully finish Remembrance of Things Past in 2023. And then there are a couple of other things that I've made plans for. So I've planned to do a buddy read of this, the Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, and go read it with Alan from Big Heart Books and Classics. It's fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to buddy reading with Alan. I think there was something a while ago that we were like umming and ahhing about buddy reading, and then I think I must have just forgotten about it, and we didn't make any plans. So I'm really happy that we've made plans, and we're going to read that together. It'll be my second time and his first time, so I think it'll be good. And I've also planned to read I always get this wrong, I think it's the Strudloff Steps by Chemito von Doderer. Really, really sorry. But it's a nice sort of chunky book by an Austrian writer, I believe. And I've got this singled out as my mammoth for March of the Mammoths. I think it clocks in at around 800 pages. So about 850 pages. So this is going to be my mammoth for March of the Mammoths. And there we go. So that's, how I see the rest of my year going and my tentative plans for, or at least the few little plans I have so far for next year. I don't tend to make too many plans, and I think the plans I have so far for the rest of this year leaves enough space, to just try something that I haven't planned, which I enjoy doing. So I'm not going to get too stressed out if something, from my list doesn't end up being read, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's the end of the tag. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but if you do make booktube videos and you haven't done this tag yet and you'd like to, please go ahead and consider yourself tagged. But I think I'll leave it for there. So I'll leave it for there. I will leave it there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.